Can you even afford to eat here? My sister mocked. But before I could answer, the waiter approached with a warm smile. Welcome back, Miss Dara. Would you like your usual table? My father nearly spit out his wine. It all began 5 years ago, when I walked away from everything my family expected me to be. They had always judged my choices, dismissing my passion for cooking as beneath our family's name. But tonight, at Maison, one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city, where my family had gathered to celebrate my sister Heather's engagement, they were about to see just how much had changed. I straightened my black dress, nerves tightening in my stomach. Sometimes, the hardest reservations aren't for restaurants, but with your own past. Growing up in Greenwich, Connecticut, being a Mitchell carried weight. My parents, Margaret and Richard, built their identities on prestige, perfect addresses, elite schools, and respected careers. Our colonial home regularly hosted fundraisers, where my mother paraded us like trophies. Her pride depended on how well we fit into her vision of success. The Mitchell children are destined for greatness, she'd boast. Heather was already set for Yale Law, Ethan for a career in finance. When it came to me, the middle child, her smile would tighten. Dara has creative inclinations, she'd say. What she meant was, I was the disappointment. While Heather thrived in debate and Ethan won math competitions, I spent hours in the kitchen with our housekeeper, Elena. She was the first to see my real talent. You have the hands for this, she'd say, as I helped knead dough or dice vegetables. By 13, I was creating my own recipes. By 16, I was secretly hosting dinner parties whenever my parents traveled. But to my father, cooking was a servant's work. He insisted Mitchell's hired chefs. They didn't become them. To keep peace, I applied to business schools and eventually attended Dartmouth, like my father and grandfather. Yet even there, I found ways to follow my passion: food science classes, nutrition courses, and an underground supper club that helped fund private weekend workshops with chefs. My double life continued into graduate school. 6 months into an MBA program I hated, I crossed paths with Chef Lauren Piros, a 3 Michelin-starred master. After tasting my food at a reception, he pulled me aside. "You're wasting your talent here. Come to New York. I will make you great." That night changed everything. 2 weeks later, I told my parents I was leaving the MBA program for culinary school. Silence filled the room until my father finally spoke, his voice low and sharp. "This is unacceptable. You've invested in everything except respecting what I actually want," I replied. My mother was unyielding. "If you pursue this hobby, you do it without our support." Heather laughed. "Let's see how long you last cooking for minimum wage." Ethan just looked embarrassed. So I left, with nothing but savings and a suitcase. The next 5 years were grueling. 18-hour days, cramped apartments, and loans. But under Chef Laurent's mentorship, I thrived. The discipline, creativity, and intensity fueled me in ways business school never could. Then came the opportunity of a lifetime. An investor, impressed by my cooking, offered me a partnership. 2 years ago, Maison opened with me as executive chef and part owner. 6 months later, I bought out my partners. Ironically, I had used my business education after all, just not in the way my parents had envisioned. Maison became one of the city's hardest reservations. Last month, Food and Wine featured us as part of the future of American cuisine. Through it all, I kept my distance from my family. A few strained phone calls, the occasional holiday card, but they never knew the full extent of my success. I wanted my work recognized on my own terms, not as a plea for their approval. So when I received Heather's engagement dinner invitation, embossed and elegant, I was surprised. More shocking was the venue, Maison. Of course, they had no idea it was mine. To them, it was simply an exclusive, impressive choice. After much thought, I decided to attend, not for validation, but to close a chapter. I was finally confident enough in my success to face them without fear. But I wasn't prepared for how it would feel watching them dine in my restaurant, critiquing dishes I had created. As I stepped inside, the familiar aroma of saffron, wine reductions, and fresh herbs surrounded me. Usually grounding, but tonight, only deepening my unease. I had chosen understated elegance. A simple Diane von Furstenberg dress, pearls from my grandmother, hair pulled back in a sleek chignon. I knew my family would misinterpret it as me trying too hard with limited means. From the entryway, I spotted them at the center table, my mother assessing, my father scrutinizing the wine list, Heather draped in Gucci beside her fiancé Bradley, Ethan with his wife Allison. I approached, greeted with air kisses and stiff hugs. Bradley introduced himself by rattling off his credentials. Princeton, Wharton, junior partner at Goldman. Typical. Ethan's greeting was more genuine, though Allison seemed strained. The champagne had already been poured, naturally, the most expensive option. Around us, Maison buzzed with carefully curated energy. Lighting, sound, seating, all details I had chosen. My staff caught my eye, but discreetly held back, respecting my silent signal. As conversation turned to me, I kept my answers vague. I've been working in food, learning, growing. Heather scoffed at what she called my cooking phase. My father added that he'd hoped I'd advanced by now. When the amuse-bouche arrived, Heather dismissed it with disdain. My mother called portions too small. Bradley criticized the duck for being undercooked, even though it was perfectly medium rare. Every remark was a reminder of old patterns. Heather pressed further. "How can you even afford this place?" All eyes turned to me. I simply replied, "I manage my finances carefully." But she pushed harder, accusing me of debt or dependence. The tension was unmistakable. I felt the same old pressure, the same sense of being the family outlier. But this time, I carried a truth none of them knew. Tonight, their questions would lead to answers they weren't expecting. I found myself cornered, judged, and dismissed before I even had a chance to speak. But I wasn't that insecure young woman anymore. I had built something of my own, something I was proud of. For a moment, I thought about revealing the truth right then, watching their faces change as they realized whose restaurant they were sitting in, whose food they had been criticizing so carelessly. Before I could decide, Bradley's duck returned, reheated and stripped of the flavor it once had. "Much better," he declared after a bite, even though it was now dry and bland. My father signaled for the wine list again. "Let's order another bottle, something more impressive this time." Jose approached with the leather-bound menu, and my father made a show of examining it before choosing one of our most expensive bottles, an $800 Bordeaux. "This one should be adequate," he said. I knew that bottle well. I'd selected it during a trip to France, meeting the vintner myself. Spectacular, yes, but completely wrong for the food being served. "May I suggest something that pairs better with the next courses?" I offered. My father waved me off. "I think I know my wines, Dar." Jose looked to me silently for guidance. I gave a small nod. Let my father have his way. This wasn't worth the fight. As the night continued, through the last savory dish and into dessert, a deconstructed lemon tart I loved. The jabs never stopped. Every course was criticized. Every word I tried to add twisted into proof of my supposed failure. By the time coffee was served, I felt drained, forced to endure both their condescension and their careless critiques of my life's work. Then came the moment I'd both dreaded and anticipated. The check. Marcus brought the folder and placed it discreetly on the table. My father reached for it, but Bradley intercepted. "Please, Richard, allow me," he said with polished ease, turning even generosity into a performance. My father gave a token protest before agreeing. Bradley opened the folder, his confident smile vanishing as he saw the total. "Is there a problem?" my father asked. No, Bradley said quickly. "Just confirming." N.O. I knew what he saw. Dinner for 7, with premium wines, custom dishes, and that Bordeaux, over $3,000. Reasonable for Maison, but enough to make a statement. Bradley pulled out a black credit card slowly, making sure everyone noticed. Sensing his unease, Heather struck again. "So, Dar," she said with full sweetness, "how are you managing to pay for your part of this extravagant dinner? We wouldn't want you stretching yourself." The table fell silent. Her question was so pointed that even my parents looked uneasy. "I can cover my portion," I said simply. "Can you, though?" she pressed. "Because we all know what food service pays. Can you even afford this place?" I felt my face flush. 5 years of building my life, and here I was, still cast as the family disappointment. Bradley joined in, eager to recover after the bill shock. "If you need help with your share, just say so. No shame in that." "I don't need help," I said tightly. "Then how exactly are you paying for this?" Heather demanded. "A meal here costs more than you make in a week." I opened my mouth to respond, finally ready to reveal everything, when Bradley frowned at the bill. "Wait, there's a mistake. They've only charged us for the wines, not the food." He flagged Marcus over. "Excuse me, there's an error." Marcus looked at me, waiting. I gave a slight nod. "There's no mistake, sir," Marcus said smoothly. "The meal has already been taken care of." "By whom?" my father asked. Marcus turned to me with a warm smile. "Welcome back, Miss Dara. Your usual table is ready for your investor meeting. Would you like me to close this out?" The table went silent. 6 pairs of eyes stared at me in shock. "Thank you, Marcus," I said steadily. "Yes, please close out Mr. Harrington's drinks. The rest is on the house, as usual." "Very good, Miss Dara," he said, taking the folder from Bradley's limp hand. "Chef Miranda also asked for your opinion on the spring menu. I'll stop by before my meeting," I assured him. As Marcus left, I looked directly at my family. Their faces shifted from confusion to realization. "Welcome to Maison," I said simply. "My restaurant."